Good morning, I'm John Salenti.
I'm Cam Haugen.
And I'm Matthew Becker, and today on this episode of C. Smith News, Channel 1, we're discussing the death penalty.
The death penalty, also known as capital punishment, relates to the 8th Amendment.
The Eighth Amendment protects individuals from excessive fines, excessive bail, and cruel and unusual punishment.
For background, the death penalty is the legally authorized killing of someone as punishment of a crime. Capital punishment can be carried out through lethal injection, electrocution, lethal gas, firing squad, and hanging, depending on the state the crime was committed in. In Bays v. Reese, the Supreme Court ruled that lethal injection is not cruel and unusual punishment, and this method is the most common used today.
Yet some consider the death penalty as cruel and unusual punishment still, while others find the death penalty as a fitting punishment that deters others from committing crimes.
Currently, the death penalty is legal in 30 states.
Throughout history, the death penalty has been a center of controversy and court cases.
In Furman v. Georgia, a man named William Furman was robbing a house and tried to escape when he fell and his gun went off, killing an individual. He was sentenced to death for murder. This case dealt with the death penalty misapplication to those who were socially disadvantaged. This case resulted in the death penalty becoming unconstitutional and illegal in every state.
This case outlawed the death penalty, but it was eventually overturned by Gregg v. Georgia 2 years later. Some argue that the death penalty is still unfair to minorities.
In Gregg v. Georgia, Troy Gregg committed an armed robbery and murder. He was sentenced to death. This case made the death penalty constitutional again. This left the decision of legality to the states, which meant that the federal government cannot mandate the death penalty for any state. Instead, it is their choice. This also outlawed the death penalty for those under 18 and for those who are mentally disabled.
This set the ground rules for the death penalty to be legal in the United States as a nation.
In Coker v. Georgia, Ehrlich Anthony Coker escaped from prison, broke into a woman's house, and raped her. Georgia sentenced Coker to death on the rape charge. However, the Supreme Court ruled that the death penalty is a disproportionate penalty for rape.
This showed that the death penalty can be considered cruel and unusual punishment if it doesn't fit the crime committed. In this case, the death penalty was in violation of the 8th Amendment.
In Roper v. Simmons, at age 17, Christopher Simmons planned and committed a capital murder. After he turned 18, he was sentenced to death. However, the Supreme Court ruled that the death penalty cannot be imposed for an individual who committed the crime in question before they were 18.
This reaffirmed that those who commit a crime under 18 cannot be put to death. However, this has come into controversy recently, and now we're going to cut to Brad in Charlotte, North Carolina.
A North Carolina Butler High School student, Jatwan Cuffey, age 16, allegedly could be facing the death penalty. Jatwan Cuffey fatally shot Bobby McKeithen on October 29, 2018. The pair had had a fight before the previous night on the 28th, and it escalated, resulting in McKeithen's death. The death penalty is designed for adults who have committed vicious crimes, and Cuffey, only 16, could be facing death row. Many people believe that the death penalty is not appropriate for those who are under the age of 18. Only time will tell the fate for Cuffey. Back to you, Matt.
Thanks, Brad. Along with people under 18, mentally disabled people also cannot be given the death penalty.
In Atkins v. Virginia, Darrell Atkins and his accomplice William Jones were convicted for murder. A jury sentenced Atkins to death. However, Atkins' defense presented that his school records and IQ of 59 claimed that he is mentally disabled. The Supreme Court reversed the death sentence on the grounds that the death penalty is not appropriate for mentally disabled offenders.
This reaffirmed that those who are mentally disabled cannot be put to death. This upholds the guidelines put forward in Gregg v. Georgia. This issue is relevant right now because we want to live in a country where the government does not have the right to decide who lives and who dies. This issue deals with life and death, yet this issue extends far out.
This affects taxpayers who have to pay extra to put someone to death. This opens up a conversation about institutional racism, as there have been studies that allude to the death penalty being unfair towards minorities.
Recently, Netflix has released a new show called I Am a Killer, which features death row criminals talking about committing crimes. Many criminals admit that living on death row is much more pleasant than maximum security prisons, which we see is a problem in the capital punishment system. Now, we're going to cut to Chad out in Florida. Here, on November 30th, 2018, Florida counties rang bells in unison for Cities for Life Day to honor those on death row. 17 counties across the state rang these bells to protest the death penalty, as well as honor the 344 people on death row. They did this to make a statement that said capital punishment is wrong. This is significant to the death penalty because it shows the Catholic Church view on the issue. While some respect the idea of the right to life, others find it controversial that they are honoring people who have committed crimes to put them on the death penalty. We'll send it back to you guys.
Thanks, Chad. With this being said, we'd like to present our opinion.
We believe that capital punishment should be banned in all states and territories of the United States due to the excessive costs of death row and courts to taxpayers, the history of innocent people being executed, and the idea that death is a cruel and unusual punishment which violates the Eighth Amendment.
We believe that capital punishment isn't effective in deterring crime, and that a life sentence in a maximum security prison is a much better punishment option.
We back our opinion with some facts. Since 1973, more than 160 people have been released from death row with evidence of their innocence. That is almost 4 people a year.
In California, maintaining each death row prisoner costs taxpayers $90,000 more per year than a prisoner in general population.
Each death penalty case in Texas costs taxpayers about $2.3 million. This is about 3 times the cost of imprisoning someone in a single cell at the highest security prison for 40 years.
We'd love to hear your opinion of capital punishment.
Feel free to submit your thoughts to @2019 John Selectric holyfamily.dbq.pvt.k12.a.us.
Thanks for watching. This is Matthew.
John,
And Cameron signing off from C. Smith News, Channel 1.
good night, everybody.